Right now, I feel like I have all the right cake ingredients in the pot.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a gooey mess.
Yeah.
So what I did about 3 months ago, I got recruited by a much bigger company, and so I took my whole team. We transitioned to working at a new company. And so it worked out perfectly. All the right people, they really took care of us great. We got a amazing sign-on bonus. My whole team has been taken care of, and so we're in the right place. So all the right ingredients are there. I'm in sales. At my old company, I was always kind of like the top producer. And so I feel like when we got recruited, even though it's a much bigger company, there's an expectation that I'm sort of going to sweep in there, and I'm going to be their top producer, and I'm going to do big things for them.
Well, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would not be measuring our production against any other person, because that trains you to look in the wrong places for alignment. Now, maybe their high production caused you to put higher production in your own vortex. And so maybe you have desires in your vortex that you are not quite living up to. Maybe that's the gap. But let's tell it like it is. Let's not talk about what somebody else is doing. Let's talk about what you're doing in relationship to what you want to do, period. And if you will take all of the rest of them out of the equation, then you won't keep losing your way. First of all, statistics are wonky.
Right.
And people distort them to make points that they want to make. And while the competitive spirit might be helpful in step one, because by seeing what's going on around you, it does sometimes make you raise your own expectation of yourself, there is more resistance in that attitude of competition and measuring yourself against others than there is value. The measurement that you want to be aware of is the measurement between your own desires and how you feel about your own desires. And the thing about comparing yourself to others' results, this is the thing. We've talked with all of you about this before, but let's just say it right here in the beginning. Turning this vibration into thought, and then these thoughts into action, and then these actions into culminations. This process, this delicious process of becoming. Well, what people are measuring in the competitive or competition is the manifestations over here. And we think that it is really a crazy thing to be measuring the full-blown manifestation of someone else against the vibration of your desire. Because your desire is huge, and it's going to come to huge and huge and huge results. But to measure end results against beginning vibrations is like apples and oranges. So many of you have these desires that are in a vibrational place of strength and sure becoming. But then you measure this, which hasn't manifested into something that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch, against something that somebody else has already manifested into something that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And you stop this right there in its tracks in your lackful comparison. You just got to stop doing that. You just got to know that once it's there, it's a sure thing. And don't measure against any statistics other than the statistical information that your own emotions are giving you. So if someone says, "How are yourselves today?" "I don't know, but I'm sure happy." Well, what's that got to do anything? Your happiness is not something that we can measure, and it's certainly not something that we pay for. Well, just leave me alone, let me be happy. In a little while, there'll be plenty for you to pay for.
So how does that translate into there is a bit of a push and pull that I do because I have a team. So there's 10 of us, and I'm sort of like the leader, if you will. And so everybody's looking at me, what is she doing? And then they kind of follow, right? And so I really just need to stay home and meditate and get my thoughts on straight and do some creative, I can't be in the office at 8:30 or at 9, but I'm the leader. So if I'm not there, everybody else is, "Well, why are you not at work at 9? Everybody else is at work at 9. I'm like, you guys don't get it. I need my time. But how do you be like who you need to be while you have other people looking at you for guidance? And how do you be a good leader in that space?
Well, let us ask your question more clearly. How do I use my own guidance? And you can't. You might as well just give it up. Kill yourself. Well, what you're really asking is, how do I keep what others are thinking about me from interfering with my alignment? And we say, you got to get in your alignment first. This is going to be the message of this day and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Because if you do bite the bullet, so to speak, disregard what their response to you is, and get yourself in the receiving mode where the ideas begin to flow to you, then your demeanor, your attitude, your well-being, your productivity, and your results will all skyrocket. And they will all say to you, how is it that you do this? And you will say, well, these are the things that I do. I've stopped worrying about what anybody else thinks about me. And I care not just primarily, I care only about my vibrational alignment with my sure-fired intentions. But this is a lot to grasp. Some of you have been listening to us for a while. Esther told someone the other day, she's just now beginning to understand personally what we've been saying for all of these years. Let us put it to you in the easiest way that we can find. There's alignment with who you are, and there isn't. There's allowing, and there's resistance. There's being in the vibrational place of receiving, and there's being off from that. In other words, it just can't be more clear about that. So as you're moving through your day and you realize, because your guidance system has told you, that you're not in alignment, usually by the time you recognize that, there's so much that's gone on that this day and the momentum of this day is most likely just going to have its way with you. Esther remembers being with a friend, a girlfriend, when they were in high school, and they climbed up the hill where the big S was written on the side of the mountain up behind the football field. And they just messed around up there all day, and they found there's a big old boulder up there, and it looked precarious. And Esther said, I'll bet we could push that. And her friend said, yeah, I bet we can too. And Esther thought, it weighs as much as a car. It was big, a big, big boulder. But it was just enough of the soil had eroded around it that it looked really precarious. So they just pushed on it a little bit, and it rolled down the mountain, bounced across the highway, and into the river. And they scampered home because they knew it was only by the grace of something that they didn't deserve that they didn't kill somebody on the highway with that boulder. And there would have been no way to stop it. And that's sort of what we want you to understand. Once your vibration and your emotion goes south, go to bed. Or do whatever it takes, because it's not likely that you're going to do anything about it. So the reason for this dramatic story is, care about the way you get started. Get up earlier and do your meditation. Get up an hour or 2 or 3 hours earlier if you have to for a little while. Get on the other side of this. Get in tune with who you are. Get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Get feeling good. Make your list of appreciation of your team. Make your list of appreciation of their talents. Make your list of appreciation of yourself. Make your list. Get your own momentum going before you even begin to enter that environment. Get yourself in the receiving mode. That's what we're saying. And when you're in the receiving mode, ideas will flow to you. But that's not to say that you won't get there sometimes and meet up with something that will bother you so much that it's still, in other words, it takes a while for you to master this. It takes a while for something to no longer get your goat. It takes a while. Esther left her house where she has been getting ready for a long time for something fun that's coming up. And she left a fairly substantial but easy to accomplish list with someone newly hired to take care of it, and was gone for 47 days. And when she got back, he had done so little on the list that she couldn't believe. She put a mirror under his nose to see if he was still breathing. How can this many days go by and this little tiny bit be accomplished? And the first day she tried to talk herself back into alignment and did fairly well. But after 2 days of roaming around and seeing how many things were left incomplete that had been so easy to do, and then Esther just kicked it into high gear and started making phone calls and got the things done that she wanted to have done, and got madder and madder and madder and madder and madder and madder and madder at herself for hiring this person who is incapable of doing what she thought he should be able to do. Now, that was a big old boulder rolling down the mountain. Except that one killed people on the way. Now, Esther is, we would say, a master at alignment. She's a master at alignment. She's good at controlling her own vibration most of the time. She said to everyone that would come near her, when I put things on my list, they get done. When I move them to your list, they're still supposed to get done. If I had left those things on my list, they would be done, but they're not on my list, they're on your list. In other words, it's not easy. You cannot control the behavior of others. And Esther realizes she doesn't want to control the behavior of others. She wants to attract the perfect person that just understands what to do. This person did not understand what to do, or was not the personality that wants to do the things that she wants to be done. In other words, she realized as she went down the list, well, that doesn't matter, and 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 that doesn't matter. Then she thought, then what is it that I'm so upset about? What is it that I'm so upset about? It was a list of things that really don't matter. So why does it feel like it matters? And she came to the conclusion the reason it feels like it matters is because I put someone in a position to do something that they're incapable of doing, and so my expectations got disappointed. I'm disappointed that my expectations were not met, you see. Well, that's not something for somebody else to fix. That's something for Esther to fix. Because if Esther was really in the place where she was in alignment with her expectations, expectation meaning the desire and a belief in the same place, if her expectations were really clear, the universe would deliver to her someone to satisfy those expectations. But you know what was active in Esther's vibration? Those who have come before that didn't get it right either. So from a place of needing someone to do something, this is what we want to say to Esther, and this is what we want to say to you. And it's really simple. You'll hear it so easily. You're all going to like this. So this subject again is turning thoughts to things. This subject again is, let's give it a new term, the evolution of my desire. Let's give it a new term, the continuing evolution of my desire. Now let's give it another new term, the surefire continuing unfolding of my desire. The natural surefire continuing of my desire. The moving of it from the vortex into this place where I can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. So here's a vibration. This is the vortex that we're demonstrating. And once the desire is in your mind, then it is underway and it will come to be. And the only thing that keeps it from coming to be is trying to find the results before you've allowed this to become strong enough to be. In other words, there's a momentum in this. This is a boulder too. If you allow yourself to focus here and feel this, this will become that boulder that is rolling in the direction of whatever you're wanting, and nothing will stop it. Your desires will become the reality that you want them to be, the full-blown manifested reality. So in any moment in time, you're jumping into this equation, and the thing that you want to ask yourself is, when a thought comes to you, an idea that has enough momentum that it moves you to action. Here's your question. When that thought came to me, was I in the receiving mode? And did I receive that thought from my vortex, from my source, from my inner being? Or was I in the need mode? And did I receive that thought from somewhere else? Did I hire this person from here or from here? Because if you hired that person from here, then it's going to go all the way out. In other words, if that impulse came and you were in that receiving mode, then that means your inner being, who can see way down the road, who understands everything about everything that you want and need, if that thought came from there, it's not going to be a dud. It's not going to be a mistake. If the thought came out of need, or out of awareness of what wasn't done, or out of a hope I get it right this time, then it is going to, as it begins to unfold, it is going to show itself as it really is. Can you hear that clearly? Mm-hmm. And that was what had Esther all twirled up, because as the manifestation happened, she had to come to the full realization, I could not have been in the receiving mode when I made that decision. Because if I had been in the receiving mode when I made that decision, the results would not be these.